Berlin, 1945. The city lies in ruins, carved into four zones by the Allies. The Soviets take the east. The Western allies the west. Two halves begin to rebuild, each with a different vision of Germany's future. East Berlin becomes the capital of the GDR, strict Soviet, ideological. West Berlin remains a democratic enclave, surrounded by communist land. The contrast between freedom and control begins to grow. Families are divided by invisible lines across old neighborhoods. Propaganda replaces unity. Suspicion replaces trust. American aid fuels the West's recovery through the Marshall Plan. In the East, reconstruction follows socialist blueprints and slogans. Two cities rise from one rubble, but with two souls. Berlin becomes the Cold War's most symbolic battleground. In East Berlin, the Soviet model shapes every street. Mass housing projects replace ruins with gray uniformity. Factories rise under the slogan, "Rebuild Socialism." Posters of Lenin and Marx cover the walls of new buildings. Citizens are urged to work for the collective good. Food remains rationed, shortages are common. Private enterprise is abolished, ownership belongs to the state. Public art glorifies workers, soldiers, and farmers. Children are taught loyalty to the socialist fatherland. Cultural life is censored, but heavily promoted through ideology. Hope and hardship coexist behind smiling propaganda posters. The city begins to look uniform, efficient, but emotionally hollow. Across the divide, West Berlin glows with new energy. The Marshall Plan floods the city with materials and money. Shiny advertisements replace propaganda posters. Private stores reopen, selling coffee, radios, and fashion. Jazz, Coca-Cola, and neon lights symbolize Western modernity. Freedom of press, religion, and travel becomes everyday reality. American soldiers mingle with locals in cafes and dance halls. Skyscrapers rise where ruins once stood. Cinema and culture thrive again, blending optimism and guilt. While poverty remains, opportunity feels alive. The city becomes a showcase of Western capitalism. West Berlin stands as an island of freedom within the Iron Curtain. In the 1950s, thousands flee East Berlin for the West each month. The East loses doctors, engineers, and artists seeking freedom. The GDR's leadership panics, calling it a brain drain. Then, on August 13, 1961, barbed wire suddenly appears overnight. Families awaken to find streets and homes divided. The Berlin Wall, anti-fascist protection rampart, begins to rise. Concrete replaces wire, and guard towers watch every move. Tears and screams echo as loved ones are trapped apart. The West calls it a prison wall. The East calls it protection. The world watches as Berlin becomes a fortress city. Escape attempts turn deadly under searchlights and rifles. Freedom becomes a dream measured in meters of concrete. Life in East Berlin becomes a dance of conformity. Apartments are state-assigned, simple, and identical. Television broadcasts only approved news from the GDR. Fashion follows utility, not expression. Music must serve socialist values. Western rock is banned. People whisper about the Stasi, the secret police. Every friend could be an informant, every letter opened. Yet pride exists in stability, education, and public health. Women enter the workforce, gaining equal status under socialism. Public parades glorify unity and discipline. Behind closed doors, people listen secretly to Radio Free Europe. Hope hides in quiet rebellion and forbidden songs. West Berlin thrives as a beacon of freedom and style. Universities, cafes, and art studios flourish with new ideas. Rock and roll and modern fashion shape youth identity. American culture blends with German creativity. Posters of the Beatles and Rolling Stones cover walls. Protests for peace and against nuclear arms fill the streets. Graffiti becomes political expression, not rebellion. Shops sell imported goods from Paris to New York. Students debate philosophy and the meaning of freedom, while rent prices rise. The city buzzes with innovation. Freedom comes with its own anxieties, but it feels real. West Berlin becomes Europe's island of cultural energy. Both Berlins wage battles of words and images. In the East, Posters show smiling workers and glowing factories. In the West, ads celebrate individual choice and consumer joy. News broadcasts twist truth to fit their ideology. Radio and film become weapons of persuasion. The East claims moral purity. The West claims real freedom. Billboards across the wall mock the other side. Spy agencies monitor what people read and say. Censorship defines truth more than facts ever could. Even art becomes political paintings, songs, and cinema. Propaganda becomes the invisible air Berliners breathe. Truth is no longer black or white, it's gray like the city itself. Clothing tells the story of division. In the East, plain coats and simple shoes dominate the streets. The collective spirit discourages luxury or individuality. In the West, miniskirts, jeans, and sunglasses define the youth. Fashion magazines celebrate choice and rebellion. Black market. Traders secretly sell Western clothes in the East. Youth on both sides dream of what they cannot have. Sewing clubs in the GDR imitate Paris styles with homemade flair. State-run fashion shows promote socialist chic. Meanwhile, West Berlin designers compete with Milan and London. Fashion becomes a quiet symbol of freedom or control. To wardrobes, one city each reflecting its own dream. Music becomes rebellion's heartbeat. East Berlin bands play folk and state-approved anthems, but hidden basements echo with forbidden rock and jazz. Secret concerts are held under candlelight and fear. Cassettes of Western songs are smuggled across the border. In the West, freedom sings loudly through rock festivals and punk shows. Youth gather at discos celebrating expression and rhythm. David Bowie and Iggy Pop record in West Berlin, inspired by its tension. Lyrics talk of division, longing, and identity. The wall becomes a silent audience to two musical worlds, one controlled by ideology, the other by chaos and sound. Even in silence, music crosses where people cannot. In East Berlin, the Stasi's reach feels endless. Neighbors report on neighbors in exchange for safety. Microphones hide behind wallpaper. Letters vanish in transit. Fear becomes part of normal life, whispered, constant. Yet most citizens obey quietly. Avoiding attention, files fill endless archives with names and secrets. Children are taught loyalty above love or truth. A joke about the government could end a career. Behind smiles, suspicion festers. People learn to wear masks even at home. The illusion of harmony hides the cost of obedience. Freedom becomes the most dangerous word of all. Checkpoint Charlie becomes the most famous border on Earth. Tourists, spies, and soldiers all converge at its gate. It's the only legal crossing for foreigners between East and West. Tanks once faced off here during the 1961 standoff. Signs read, "You are leaving the American sector." In multiple languages, families press faces against the barrier, searching for loved ones. Smugglers risk everything to help others escape. Each successful defection feels like a small victory for humanity. Western journalists record every emotional crossing. The checkpoint becomes both stage and symbol for the world. Berlin is no longer just a city, it's a question. Which side of the wall is truly free? East Berlin mornings start with factory sirens. West Berlin wakes to radio hits and fresh coffee. The East reads state newspapers. The West reads dozens of opinions. Public transport in the East is punctual, efficient, and gray. In the West, traffic jams and billboards fill the streets. Children in the East join youth brigades. In the West, they join rock bands. Both sides celebrate holidays differently, even Christmas. In East Berlin, gifts are practical. In the West, they're colorful. Love stories bloom and break across divided families. Each day is normal, yet never free of awareness. Every small choice becomes political. Life itself becomes the quiet act of resistance. By the 1980s, East Berlin begins to feel restless. Censorship can't stop whispers of reform and rebellion. Western TV signals reach East homes despite bans. Young people question the system their parents built. Music, art, and literature carry coded messages of dissent. Churches shelter activists demanding change. Protests grow in Leipzig and Berlin, peaceful but powerful. Even loyal citizens begin to doubt the promises. The world is changing. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia move first. The wall stands tall, but the cracks are visible. Freedom feels closer with every passing broadcast. A city holds its breath for the impossible. November 9, 1989. Rumors spread like wildfire. An East German official misspeaks, announcing border freedom. Crowds rush to checkpoints, demanding to pass. Guards, overwhelmed, finally open the gates. Tears, laughter, and disbelief flood the streets. People climb the wall, chipping pieces with hammers. Families reunite after decades of separation. Westerners hand champagne to Easterners crossing over. For one night, the city beats as one heart again. Cameras capture history in motion. The wall that divided generations falls to human will. Berlin becomes whole but forever changed. Reunification follows, but healing takes years. The scars of division remain in architecture and hearts. East Germans face the shock of capitalism. West Germans face guilt. The wall is gone, but mental barriers linger. Museums preserve fragments as reminders of lessons learned. Artists repaint old border zones with colors of unity. Children born after the fall grow up without checkpoints. Freedom becomes ordinary, but never forgotten. Old surveillance buildings turn into archives of truth. Music, art, and stories finally merge across generations. Berlin rises again, not east or west, just whole, a living symbol of division conquered by humanity.